is really based on continuing analysis of the information as it has become available. And when you look at the criteria for going from 4 to 5, you see that 5 is really considered a situation in which the likelihood is very high to imminent or inevitable. Now, I think in this situation, 5 and 6 represent periods of time when the virus is beginning to spread from country to country and become established. And basically, 5 can be interpreted to mean we are earlier in that process. Phase 6 can be interpreted to mean that it is establishing itself in more countries and in more regions. And so this is how we're looking at it. The second part of your question was about the severity. Right now, we see clinical cases which are relatively mild in many countries, and we see some severe cases largely in Mexico, but we also have had a death reported in the United States. And right now, we now know that the full spectrum of this disease can go from very mild to fatal illness. The real uncertainty is when you get infected, how often are people going to develop mild illness? How often are they going to develop severe illness? And I think this we will know as the situation unfolds and as investigations continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Frank Jordan's from Associated Press.
Dr. Chan, I'd like to ask you whether you've spoken to world leaders to consult on this decision. You said it's time for all countries to activate their pandemic preparedness. What exactly should they be doing, and what can individual people be doing who, many of whom would not have experienced the pandemic in their lifetime?
Thank you for that very important question. I will touch upon the general principles and ask Dr. Keiji Fukuda to give you the details on what an individual, society, or a country can do in response to this raising of phase 4 to 5. Indeed, the pandemic preparedness plan and also the work that has gone into it started several years ago. You may recall, the first H5N1, the first incident that threatened the world is in 1997, and then again in the early 2000s, 2003, 4, and 5, during those years, H5N1 kept coming back to cause sporadic human cases. And in view of that threat to the world, WHO, with the support of our partners, we have provided support to all countries to help them to develop a pandemic preparedness plan. And much work has gone into it. And in fact, the fact of the matter is we are able to how should I call it? Do all the surveillance and get reports from these countries, early reports from these countries, is because they exercise and activated their pandemic preparedness plan and enable us to pick up cases rather early, instead of allowing it to gain a foothold in many countries. So to that extent, I think, countries are prepared, but it is fair for me to tell you, not every country has the same level of preparedness and sophistication, and that is a fact. And that's